heart of the audience. Write Donahue tickets, care of NBC, New York, New York, 10112.
Yes, ma'am.
What was the turning point? Like, why did you pose in Playboy? Was it for your career? Was it for your self-satisfaction? Like, why did you decide to pose?
It was something that I wanted to do. I wanted to do something that was very different. I wanted to do something that was courageous, something very much out of the ordinary for me that no one would expect. And I felt Playboy was it when they offered me to do it.
How many girls are there in your family?
Excuse me?
How many girls? Sisters?
There are 3 of us.
Are you all very close, and how do you stay close in a show business family, being so far apart and all?
Sometimes it's very difficult because everybody are in their own directions, traveling all over the world. But we make it a point to meet and get together no matter what. And at the same time, everybody lives basically 2 minutes away from each other, except for me. So they're in and out of the house every day, the main house.
LaToya, I just want to tell you, I go to college in Connecticut, and I'm in a co-ed dorm, and on my dorm, a lot of the guys have pictures of you clothed and unclothed, and I just want to let you know I think you're doing something right, and I think it's really excellent that you're so confident in yourself and your body to do the Playboy. I really give you...
Thank you very much.
I'm confident. Nobody calls me. Yes, sir.
With your strong family background, and then all of a sudden your burst to stardom, how do you keep in touch with reality?
Well, basically, my parents, I think when you're young and they instill that into you, and of course religion has a lot to do with it, a higher being knowing that's there, and he's the one who's really providing and giving you everything. That's basically how you keep in touch with yourself.
I've seen your latest video, and I was wondering how long it took you to film that and how difficult it was.
We did that in one day, and it took us about maybe 12 or 13 hours. And it was filmed here in New York, of course. And it wasn't very difficult at all.
Can you tell me something about school? What school was like for you and your brothers and sisters?
Growing up, school was quite different for us, actually. I went to public school for a while, and gosh, there's so many stories I could go into telling you, because there's this one school that I had gone to, and all the girls in the school were just screaming over the fact that the Jackson 5 were at this school. And my being their sister, I didn't want anybody to know. And I never said a word, and they would just, the Jackson 5 are here, Michael goes to school, and Marlon goes to school, and Jermaine's going to school. And they were just screaming, and I go, oh, really, oh, really? And I was so afraid at the end of the day, you know, because we'd have a driver to get in the car with them. And they found out one day, and I was the most hated person in that school. They all hated me. But at any rate, we also had tutors, so when we would do shows, we would spend 3 hours a day in the tutor suite, and we would order breakfast and have 3 hours of schooling. Everybody would sit around the table, and she'd teach each one of us.
Do you plan to go into acting?
Yes, I definitely want to do that. I'd love to do motion pictures, feature films.
I'd like to know, that's a great dress, and I want to know if you're going to go into your own clothing line, or do you decide what you're going to wear, or how do you go about it?
Well, this is one of the dresses that I design. I design quite a few things along with Lupna. She makes them for me, and we work together. And eventually I would like to go into my own clothing line, yes.
I'd like to know, how did you become interested in the reptile, especially the snake?
Well, when you grow up with so many animals, you just get attached to certain ones. And I kind of like the snake.
Do you think being on Playboy was worth upsetting your parents?
Well, you have to realize that when I did Playboy, of course, my parents were the first people that I thought about. And I said, well, gosh, what are they going to think? But then again, I've mentioned several times to Phil, it's my life, and I have to live it for me. I've lived 30 years of my life for my parents. And don't you think it's time for me to live for LaToya now?
I'd like to know, what advice would you give to young entrepreneurs trying to open their own cosmetics line?
It's a very difficult business. It's very hard. There will always be stumbling blocks in the way, but if it's something that you really want to do and you have that burning desire, never give up. Just step right over those obstacles and continue. That's what I would basically tell you.
LaToya, I'd like to say that as a college student, I saw your pictures, and I think that they're extremely tasteful, and that there's you did everything in art. I mean, it's considered an art, and it's nothing to be ashamed of.
Thank you. I really appreciate that. Thank you.
I'd like to know, growing up, did you ever feel ignored with all the attention being paid to your brothers?
No, not whatsoever.
Living at home until age 30, how much of freedom or self-expression were you able to enjoy?
We basically had the freedom that we wanted. It's just that my parents just believed in staying at home until you got married. I mean, everything was there for us. We didn't have to go out to a movie because we had a movie theater at home. So I think they kind of made sure everything was there so we wouldn't have to go out, really. And we were the kind of family that we're not the party-going type, so nobody really went to parties or anything like that.
I assume liquor probably wasn't even a part of your household, was it? Alcohol? Alcohol was never a part of your household, was it?
Well, no, not really, except for when we would invite guests to dinner, of course, and they would have wine.
Uh-huh. You dated boys, I assume, huh? No.
Well, I've gone out to dinner several times, yes.
But there was no senior prom or anything like that, huh?
No. No.
I kind of feel bad about the distance between your parents and yourself. Do you ever consider maybe breaking the ice and taking the initiative and talking to them first instead of waiting, maybe hashing it out right to begin with to get it over with?
I will when I think the timing is right. I think when probably Playboy is over with, I'll probably give them a call and won't mention it. They won't either, so.
Do you think your parents will ever make the first move and call you?
No, I know they won't.
We are in New York City with LaToya Jackson, and we'll be back in a moment. And I mean that in the fullest sense of the word, in Playboy magazine. Is your friend here? Why don't we bring him out? Or is it her?
Well, this is Eve. This isn't the one that I posed with.
This is not the one?
No. I posed
see.
with Adam. This is Eve's boyfriend.
I see. Come on in, Eve.
The audience is going, oh.
What do you think? Now, you seem to be very comfortable with this.
Yeah.
Uh-huh. You really like snakes?
Yes, I do.
Okay. Yes. And that's a boa, huh?
This is a boa.
We heard what your brothers and your parents think about you posing. I want to know what your sisters thought about it.
Well, Janet thought it was fine. And my sister Rebe, of course, I'm sure she totally disagrees, so I haven't spoken to her.
Is there any sibling rivalry between you and your brothers and sisters?
No, our parents were always against that, and they never wanted that in the family. Never.
Do you ever plan to get married?
Yes, of course. Eventually, I'd like to find the right person and get married.
All I can say is you're a gorgeous woman and
Thank
very
you.
refined looking.
Thank you.
Yes.
First of all, I like to say that that's a nice protection. You don't need Secret Servicemen or anything. Second of all, was it worth alienating your parents by posing for Playboy?
Well, I don't think that, again, I've said so many times that if my parents really want to talk to me, they know my number and they can pick up the phone and call me and we can work it out.
Snakes. I mean, is it true you really wanted to be covered with snakes?
Yeah.
Is that, I mean...
Yeah. They turned me and this guy into a wimp, those snakes. You did. That is true, is it not? You wanted to have a whole bunch of them. Is that
I wanted to have a lot of snakes, but of course the staff of Playboy were terrified of snakes, so we could only get one.
I just want to let you know if you're not dating right now, I'm free for dinner at 8 o'clock.
Okay.
Do you feel a little resentment towards your parents for the restrictions they put on you as a child?
Excuse me?
Do you feel any resentment at all because of the unusually restricted way you were raised?
No, none whatsoever. I think they did a great job of raising me.
Yes.
You're certainly more beautiful in person than you were in Playboy, but I'd like to ask, is there anyone in films that you particularly would like to work with, male and female?
I think I'd probably like to work with Sylvester Stallone Steven Spielberg, George Lucas. I think they're great.
Yes. You sound like you have a pretty close family, and I assume you're close with your mom and dad also. When you were leaving, you said you had your lawyer send some letters to your dad. Why didn't you ever mention it to him, or you were waiting for him to say something?
Because I would mention it to him, but he wouldn't pay any attention to me, of course. It didn't matter to him. So I felt that the next step would to get legal advice, actually.
Yeah. I just wondered where your family lives. What state?
California.
Yes. Yes.
I wanted to know if you'll ever pose nude for another magazine again.
I don't think so. Not for another magazine. I think working with Playboy, the staff, I have to really thank them. They were so great, so wonderful, the warmest people to work with, very accommodating, and I love all of them. They're the best. They really were.
LaToya, what do you plan to do next as far as showbiz? Are you planning to start acting?
Yes, I'd like to act, and my musical career is very important to me, so I'm going to continue that as well.
Yeah. Your father's still managing right now. What groups is he managing, and is he still managing any of your brothers and sisters?
No, he's not managing any of us. No, he isn't.
Do you and Michael have your own veterinarian for your animals? I'm a technician. I'm a veterinary technician. I'm looking for work.
Really?
I wondered if you're related to Jesse in any way.
No, we're not.
I wondered that, too. Yeah.
I just want to ask you, do you have a love-hate relationship with your parents?
Do I have a love-hate?
Yeah.
No, this is very unusual. I love my parents, and they love me very, very dearly. But because I've done this, they don't agree with it. But it doesn't mean that we're disliking each other at the moment. I'm just not speaking to them, and they're not speaking to me. If that makes any sense to you. I mean, it's not that they're upset or mad or screaming at me. I hear it through my brothers. They don't approve of what I've done.
I want to show you LaToya. Yeah, this is a video, and it's titled Just Say No.
Yes.
Uh-huh. And in this, you work with our former First Lady. Show them just a part of this, Brian. Here's the video. Activities regarding America's worsening drug crisis are commendable. And your whole family, as a matter of fact, has made an important contribution toward this effort at information, education, and so on.
Yes.
You worked with Arnold Schwarzenegger, Nancy Reagan, and a whole bunch of other stars in that effort.
Yes.
That was in Washington?
This was in Washington with Nancy Reagan and myself and a couple of other young children, actually. And we've done quite a few things together with Just Say No organization.
Uh-huh.
And it's basically designated to children from 3 to 9 years old. And it's basically to prevent them from taking drugs before they start. And what I do is I go into the most drug-infested areas and I talk to the children in those schools and try to teach them and show them that it's wrong, because growing up into those environments that they grow up in, they don't see anything wrong with it. They think it's okay. And so you got to tell them that it's wrong.
That is a striking picture there with you and... is this an occupant of your apartment here in New York? Do you live with this person? Or this is Eve?
This is Eve, yes. But, you know, you can't always keep them with you because they have to be fed, and then the trainer takes care of it a lot, so it's not with you all the time.
I see. You like it, though, when she's with you?
Yes.
Makes you feel what? More secure?
More secure, more comfortable, more at home.
Mm-hmm.
But, of course, the light... I guess she's a bit nervous when people...
Well, she's seen the Donahue show many times before, I'm sure. And we'll be back in a moment.